I can honestly say that it's the inspiration that women like you give me that has inspired me to go and create. I honestly just do not believe that we do this on our own, and we don't do it in isolation. The inspiration I've had from the women in my life is actually what inspired me to start this podcast, because I looked around and I was like, there are so many amazing women who are doing such incredible things. And I look at that and I'm in awe.
So welcome everyone to this episode of She Rises. My name is Shantelle. I am a longtime friend of Krista's. We've worked together in multiple different capacities over the last few years. And yes, yeah. And I support her with the back end of her coaching business. I teach at the yoga studio. We've been friends for, oh goodness, it's got to be
You're one of my longest standing friends. It's got to be 20 plus years at this point.
It's been a while. We've been friends for a hot minute. And I am going to be taking the reins today and asking some questions so that you get to know Krista a little bit better.
Aw.
Yeah.
So sweet.
I think everybody's curious. So let's dig in.
Go for it. I'm ready for you.
Perfect. Okay. So I suppose my first question for you would be, I am wondering what led you to the work that you currently do?
You know, that's a beautiful question. And honestly, it's a number of different things. I would say that in the last 10 years, one of the things that's become a huge theme for me in my life, and just obviously in the businesses, is creating spaces for people to come together where they can truly be themselves. Like for me, I started yoga and meditation at this point over 20 years ago. And yoga and meditation are definitely tools that help us to go inside. And if you've listened to the first podcast that I ever did, it was very much about me kind of coming into my own of just wanting to know who I was and wanting to go on that journey of self-discovery. And I can truthfully say that the practices that I went into with meditation and then led into yoga, that those definitely drove me deeper into that reflection. And yet at the beginning, I was very much trying to be somebody. I was trying to be a yogi. I was trying to be a meditator. So there was a lot of identity wrapped up in thinking that I needed to be a certain way, when the reality was I just needed to drop the trying. And this is easier said than done. I think many of us, we wear different hats and different roles throughout our lives, and we feel these different kind of pressures. But that really led me to wanting to create spaces where people didn't feel like they had to put on a face, especially women. And this is really a big part of what came out of it for me, is that I wanted a space for women to come into where they felt held, they felt seen, they felt supported by other women, and it was authentic. It wasn't forced or kind of that one-sided, like, I'm cheering for you, but on the other hand, I'm talking about you. It's like none of that, like just real, authentic, true human connection and support. Yeah. Because I craved that. Yeah. I craved that in my own life. I wanted to have sisters, not just friends. I wanted to have women that I could grow into life with and go through the hard times with and share in the good times with and be supported and supportive in those spaces and in those relationships. And that really segued into the studio when we were forming Yoga Rise here. We were creating an intentional space. So the yoga teachers and I got together long before the studio ever opened and started to set intentions for the space, for ourselves individually, for the teaching community, as well as for the people who would come through the door. And that was so incredible to be a part of.
I remember that. Yeah, I was there for that one.
You were there. Chocolate covered strawberries and all.
Yes, you remember what I brought. Yes, I brought chocolate covered strawberries. And I feel like that's a big part of the energy that you bring forward in what you do and the people that you interact with. So being somebody who's known you for so long, I get to really witness this side of you regularly, right? You're somebody who makes sure that people feel included. You're somebody who really wants to gather and magnetize the people that feel called to join whatever it is that you're currently doing. So for example, with this studio, like having all the teachers who jumped on board early before the studio even opened come together and almost take a little sense of ownership over the space and what they're bringing to the space helped us to feel, I can speak for myself, really, like, I have a part of this with me. I'm carrying a part of this. So it is definitely a part of the magic that I feel you bring. And it's beautiful to see that this came from a desire where you wanted to create like a sisterhood, right?
Totally. And I mean, obviously we've got, men teachers at the studio too, Eric and Matt's on our sub list and that type of thing. Like we have a really beautiful grounded community that's holistic that way. Yeah. But with that being said, I mean, there is something to be said. I now look at every single teacher that we have on the schedule, and there isn't a single person that I wouldn't feel okay with trusting the whole studio with, and the well-being of the people who come through the door with. And that is because of the ownership. Like I can honestly say that it's the inspiration that women like you give me that has inspired me to go and create. I honestly just do not believe that we do this on our own, and we don't do it in isolation. Like the inspiration I've had from the women in my life is actually what inspired me to start this podcast, because I looked around and I was like, there are so many amazing women who are, doing such incredible things, and they're healers, or they are energy workers, or they have lived a life that no one knows anything about, where they've had to face some inner difficulties or challenges and come out the other side more grounded, more loving, more aware, more integrated, more compassionate to themselves and others. And I look at that and I'm in awe.
Yeah.
I'm literally in awe. And
100%,
so that is what kind of helped create the studio. And it's really, the growth of the studio over the last 4 years. We just had our 4th birthday. Yeah. So we're in year number 5 at this point. Yeah. That's really what inspired me also to step into a coaching role, which is something my husband told me that I should do a long, long time ago. He's like, you should teach yoga online. And I was like, no, there will be none of that.
Yeah.
But then I had this inspiration that I could help yoga teachers who had done their training, but hadn't started teaching yoga, that I could connect with them and I could mentor them to get them from that place of having finished their training, but maybe not having the business experience or not having the confidence with teaching, not knowing how to put a sequence together or how to hold that energy in space, that I could help them kind of bridge that gap so that they could go out, and if they wanted to turn themselves into a yoga teacher or have a different kind of career, a more empowering career, something that they love doing every day, I could help them bridge that gap. So I did do that for a while.
You did. And I feel like that was something that came in really organically for you, because what I do know of you, lots, but one thing that relates
Careful how much you share.
This, one thing that relates directly to this is you did manage a studio, a couple studios for quite a long time. Actually, that's where we first started to work together, as I was, a part of that past studio experience that she was managing. And so being able to see that gap, I feel, when new teachers came through or wanted to teach but didn't have the confidence in being able to take their skills and apply them in real situations, being able to see that there was a need there to be met, and being able to step up at some point, like years after, being able to witness this probably time and time again, I would guess, and step in and really like fill that need. I feel like that, tell me if I'm leading you here, but I feel like that maybe was a really good connection to you stepping into business for yourself and being able to more accurately see like where those needs might be for other people.
Definitely. It's an interesting statistic that only 30% of people who do their yoga teacher training actually go on to teach. And I think it's important to reference too that a lot of people do teacher training for personal growth, not necessarily because they want to go out and teach yoga publicly. However, it's still, for a training, like within any business, in any industry, like if you're a massage therapist, you don't do massage therapy training to not become a massage therapist. So it is an interesting industry that way, where a lot of people will do it just for themselves and for their own learning. That's why I did it. I never thought I would be a teacher. Look at all of us. Yeah. And at the same time, I know that there are lots of people who would use that time that they've spent getting that education, the time that they spent growing those skills, that they would turn it into a career if they only knew how. And yet 200 hours is the minimum right now. It's the we are not a regulated industry as yoga teachers, so that's the bare minimum that you can begin to teach yoga with. And like, there's lots of yoga teachers who don't even have that. And at the same time, it's just such a small amount of time in the grand scheme of things to learn and master skills that also have to branch into how to run a business
100%.
And how to market yourself and how to, without feeling like a marketer, because in yoga and in the wellness industry, we don't want to be selling ourselves. Like, that's not something that feels aligned, to kind of quote those words. And by aligned, I mean a lot of us love doing the work, but we don't necessarily want to become full-time marketers. So there's a bit of a gap there.
So tell me about that gap. Tell me about how you've come now, because I know you're doing business coaching and life coaching. So it's evolved from working with yogis and helping them create their craft and deepen into their craft and deepen into the business aspect, to now kind of widening that net. Like, tell me more about that.
So I think that what ended up happening was I started to get approached not just by people who had taken their training and hadn't started teaching, but I started to get approached by yoga studio owners and people who were already actively teaching yoga, who wanted to grow different aspects of their business. So whether that was in marketing or whether it was in the offers that they were putting out there, maybe there was a financial piece that they needed to grow within their business so that they had enough income coming in to sustain their business and even to help their business become more affluent. There was a lot of things there that started to come in, and I started to realize that a lot of the things we were working on weren't necessarily related just to yoga teachers, but a lot of it had to do with us as women in general, our relationship to having enough time for ourselves and actually feeling like we deserved to have time off, that we deserved to have free time, that we deserve to go on vacation
and still be abundant.
And still be abundant. Even that we deserve to be abundant, that we could do something that we loved without undercharging for our prices, without starting to see ourselves, sabotage the success when we started to have success. The relationship with abundance it's a universal thing. Actually, I was just looking at a post this morning on the Spruce Grove Moms Elite group where they were talking about just how expensive everything is. And it's such a mentality now that things are expensive and that things are not easy to come into. So a lot of the things that started to come in was people had some of the skills that they wanted to offer in terms of workshops and this and that. What they were lacking was confidence. There was a lack of clarity or direction and a lack of vision in terms of where am I going to be in 3 years if I keep going down this path. And that is more universal. That's more.
I can relate to that,
right?
For sure. I'm sure some of you out there can relate to that.
Well, me too. And I did coaching in this for years. I did mind, money, and business coaching with a coach out of the UK. I did coaching locally here with another kind of wellness and like lifestyle coach as well. And everything that I learned along the way, plus I read a million books. You should see my bookshelf. My bookshelves are being built, but you should see my books.
She has to have them built to accommodate more books.
Exactly. It's a situation, but we're solving it. Yeah. With that being said, I study this endlessly because I got very curious about the psychology.
Yeah.
I would consider myself a student of psychology, even though I don't have a psychology degree and no formal training. I have been studying the mind for 20 years.
There's a genuine curiosity there for you. Yeah.
Genuine curiosity. And I'm the type of person who, when I'm learning about something and studying it, I want to really understand it. So I don't just read about it. I've applied a ton of concepts to myself and my own programming, my own subconscious conditioning. I've looked at the subconscious conditioning of other groups and how these techniques have been applied with them. And what I did is I pulled a whole bunch of them together, as well as my own heart-centered approach to business and the woman supporting woman concept that is just so near and dear to my heart. And I developed a program called the Elevation Method, which is my baby. It's one of my babies.
Tell us about that. Let's hear about the Elevation Method. Why not?
In the Elevation Method, it's a coaching program for women. And I like to think of it as more of a mentorship program. I think that we all mentor each other along the way. But the reality in this program is that there's some key areas where if one area is succeeding and the other one is failing, we tend to notice and feel this big imbalance in life. For example, I used to be a workaholic, and so I had zero time freedom. I was constantly working, but I was feeling myself lack in terms of personal time. I felt guilty if I was taking time off and not working. And that shows that, like, in my life at that time, there was a big imbalance. So I now focus on 6 main pillars in it. I just did the number 4, 6. So that would be your health, because health is first and foremost. Yeah. I'm getting over a cold right now. And I can tell you, I've never been so grateful for my health as when I've been sick. So anybody who feels an imbalance in their health, or like they're not at 100%, can appreciate that. Relationships, because families, friends, community, your working environment, those are super important in terms of our feelings of fulfillment and happiness and contentment in our lives, as well as that feeling of accomplishment. Career or vocation, which could be the calling that you feel in life, or what it is, the way that you volunteer your time, what it is that you do, that way that you invest your time and energy in the world. That's essentially that pillar. Soul purpose, because the way that for me, I'm a person who comes back to, what am I here for? What is my purpose? What is my reason for being? Why am I here? And I feel very deeply connected to what I'm doing, and to the relationships, and to my health, and to all these things when I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. So just uncovering that and feeling that sense of alignment internally, that's really important to me. Yeah. And then also just trying to think, abundance and time freedom. Those are the other 2. Yeah. So that relationship, rather than coming from a scarcity mindset, that relationship of, and I think Lynn Twist says it best when she says that the definition of abundance is knowing that you have enough. So that enoughness, and that goes to feeling that you are enough, or knowing that you are enough. It goes back to feeling that there is enough, even if we can't see where or how it's coming from. It's such a foundational thing, and many people come from, there isn't enough, or I'm scared that there might not be enough, or there's that fear, that imposter syndrome of, I might not be enough. And so that is a big thing that we work on in the program as well, just building into creating that sense of enoughness, and that the peace around that. And then the freedom in your schedule, the freedom to do what you want with your time, that it's just huge.
Absolutely.
So that's a big part of what we work on in the program, is connecting to those things and really starting to understand where it is that we want our life to go. For a long time in my life, I felt like life was living me. Yeah. I felt like I was waiting for signs from the universe to point me in the right direction of what I should be doing with my life and my time and my energy, which worked right up until the point, and I remember it, I was in Vancouver at the time, and I remember feeling like I was waiting for a sign. I was at a crossroads. I was managing a yoga studio in downtown Vancouver, and I had an opportunity. I had a boyfriend out in Stony Plain. And so I was like, should I stay or should I go? That was like the pull that I was in. And I was like, give me a sign, universe. I'm just waiting for this sign. And there was no sign.
Not a signy enough sign.
There wasn't a signy enough sign. It wasn't shiny enough, signy enough sign. So I was just like, I was like, okay. And I remember the realization hitting me, you're not going to get a sign. You're going to have to make a decision. And I remember like feeling almost like I had a rock in my stomach, where I was like, this one's on me. And of course, the reality is that all of our decisions are on us. Whether we want to own it or not is another choice, but all of our decisions are ours. And so I owned that decision. And when I did, there was a number of things that then fell apart in my life instantaneously and dramatically, of course. And what also happened was I went through a shift where I moved from BC to Alberta and had to start to rebuild myself and rebuild my life. My confidence was in the gutter. I went through an experience with a employer at the time who just kind of decimated my confidence and my self-esteem, which I allowed to happen. I now can own that.
I feel like, if you don't mind, there's this possibility. What's coming up for me is like the desire to have this support team around you and want to like draw the people in that are really like your soul family could have been born from that experience, right? there's a possibility there. Yeah.
No, definitely. Yeah. And I think in more than one instance, there were power dynamics with the people that I was working with that showed me how I didn't want to be as an employer. Yeah. And what I didn't want to be as a champion of women. I really believe that if you're championing somebody, or you're creating a supportive role for somebody, or you're in a leadership role with somebody else, that it is your responsibility to always stay in that supportive framework and structure, that compassionate nature. Mm-hmm. And that was something that I learned by being on the opposite end of it and not receiving that. Yeah. So I would love to say that a lot of the learning of experiences in my life didn't come painfully, but the reality is that so much of the difficulties that I've been through, or the failing opportunities, are really the ones that grew me into the person I am today and the space that I hold today. So I'm grateful now for all of those experiences, and for all of the people who crossed my path that I had to learn difficult lessons from. I'm grateful now, but at the time it was really challenging. So yeah,
definitely. Hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, not waiting for a sign, taking the decision, and just it's been interesting how it's all unfolded. That's to be sure.
So making that decision in Vancouver, coming back, going through all of these experiences, and leading you to eventually opening up your own studio space, and then, you know, championing women, yogis to begin with, and then now it's opened up to anybody who's got a heart-led, you know, desire to move forward in their life, especially in those 6 pillars, you know, in a way that feels really good to them. It seems like a really beautiful, like when you take it all into perspective, it seems like a really long, beautiful journey that you got to experience to get from there to here. And just honoring that and sending it some gratitude, because sometimes I know for myself, and probably some of you out there, it can be very easy just to jump, like, fast forward to where you are today, right? Or get stuck in the past and live with the troubles or whatever it was that you had to overcome to get to where you are today. But being able to take a moment to acknowledge and appreciate and send some gratitude to all that had to unfold.
Absolutely.
To get you here. I'm definitely thankful. It brought our paths together.
It really did.
And yeah, so gratitude for that.
Yeah, so much gratitude. And you know, I think it kind of brings together this idea too, that it's really hard to know where we're going to end up when we're going through those difficult moments and going through the growth along the way, and even going through good times. It's really hard to know all of the things that will unfold. I now really believe that life has unfolded better than I could ever have imagined. And really because I wasn't in the way. I had to step outside of the way and really put a lot of trust into the process, and really see, you know, what is it that's really important to me, and start listening to that on the inside and follow that, even when I had no idea where it was going to take me or how it was going to turn out. Trust and faith just became such a huge part of my journey. And whenever I see somebody lean into that, I'm like, they're going to be okay. Because they've got something now. There's a belief inside of them that is superseding and transcending any of the limiting beliefs, the fears, the doubts that could hold us back. And this is why I know anyone can come to a state of freedom on the inside. Anyone can. It's not just for a few people. It's not just for the special lucky people. Anybody can have it, because it has to do a lot with how our minds work and what we're focusing on. And so that's what I retrain people with in the program now. And yeah, to even just look back at my journey and see all of the things that would have been labeled bad to a previous version of myself that I've now got so much gratitude and appreciation for. Like, nothing was by accident and nothing was wrong. It was all the way it was meant to be. Even the things that I don't understand, they've made me who I am today, and they've brought me to where I am in life today. And I will always be grateful.
Well, even when I'm thinking about it, even your husband, like your primary relationship, like that came, if I remember correctly, through a meeting at the studio. Like there was this unfolding, this natural connection that just kind of developed. And with that, I see what you're doing now. And I'm curious if you could articulate for me the impact that you feel that this might have on, like, your children, being able to witness you in this sort of a role and doing what you do.
Wow. That's a good one. I I don't know. What I can say though is that I'm very aware of my children living in a house where there's a home-based business, where my husband also has his own business. And so like both of us are entrepreneurs. And it has always been in my mind, I always want to champion my son as well. However, there has been something in me about having a daughter that has made me very much, I almost feel emotional has made me very much want to champion young women. I want women and children, little girls, to see their power as individuals and as women who can have a business, have children, have families, have a life that they love, be able to do things, to feel free and to feel empowered, to be compassionate, to all of the things, to love themselves. Like some of the things that I've had to work on myself is loving myself. And then also with some of the women, the receiving of love is, we often as women, we are nurturers. We'll give so much of ourselves to other people without a second thought. We'll give them everything. And then when it turns around where we have to give ourselves the same love and compassion, it's so hard. And I've been there before. I used to have not a very good relationship with myself. I used to loathe myself, for lack of a better word. And so healing that relationship, and now seeing my daughter who just turned 7, and she went through a bullying experience last year that was heartbreaking for me to watch, because she had some negative thoughts around herself and around who she was. And I'm watching this thought pattern get embedded in this tiny little human who is so beautiful and so wonderful and so amazing that it was heart-wrenching. And I was like, the way that I exist, the thoughts that I think, the way I talk about myself, the kind of things that I say versus the kind of things that I do, if I truly want to be an ambassador of this language and of this energy and this program that I so deeply believe in, I need to model it, I need to apply it to myself, and I need to live it so that my daughter can subconsciously witness that for herself and recognize that she too is lovable. She too has inherent value for no other reason than she opened her eyes this morning. She's worthy, worthy of love, worthy of everything in the universe, all the good that the universe could ever offer her. And I don't just feel that way for my daughter, I feel that way about everybody. And that has changed my life. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. But that's what's changed my life. That's why I do what I do.
Mic drop.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Just take the tears out of that one. I knew you would do this. I knew you would bring the tears out of me. Oh my God. But it's just, for me, the most beautiful thing in the world is to be able to look at ourselves in the mirror, love ourselves, look at the other women around us, celebrate them for all of the good that they inherently have. There's that idea that we can go around and just like fix each other's crown and just like tell each other how beautiful we are. We all deserve that, with no exception. I fully believe in that. And I will spend my entire life just supporting that in people as best as I can. Because when that shifts, we become a light unto other people. And we all are lights unto other people, whether we recognize that or not. So a big part of this is really just turning on the light in the room that we're standing in and realizing we are the light too. Every single one of us is a light to someone, even if we don't know who.
This reminds me of something that you've said fairly often, and it stands out in my mind particularly for this. And it's that quote by Rumi that we are all just walking each other home.
Oh, that's a Ram Dass quote.
A Ram Dass, there we go.
Yes.
Ram Dass. I knew you would know.
Yeah. that has to be one of my favorite quotes, because I think, Ram Dass, he was born Richard Alpert. He went to India and studied with a guru there and studied yoga and meditation and really had some profound heart-opening experiences, came back to the United States. This is like 50 years ago, and started teaching. And he's just a teacher of love. And he talks about I am loving awareness, that he is loving everything that he's aware of, the sky, this room, this body, other people, that everything that you're aware of, you can love. And that has been such a profound teaching in my life that, yeah, his words about us just walking each other home, I'm like, my gosh, like we're all connected. We all have this ability to support each other and to forgive each other, to love each other, to see past our inherent, we all have failings, or we all have, quirks about us. But, if you think about the people that you love the most in your family and in your friend group and all of that, you see past all of the things about them that, somebody else might say, oh, they're too this or too that. You're just like, but that's what makes them beautiful.
Sometimes that's what stands out and is illuminated so beautifully the strongest for you.
Yeah. Leonard Cohen has a great quote. He says that there's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in. And I feel like our imperfections are truly what make us perfectly beautiful to each other. If we can choose to have the eyes to see that. And this is just part of our journey.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah. Aw.
Yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears just a little bit.
Good job.
I love you. I'll give you a little.
Oh, I love you too.
All right.
So mutual.
So now shifting gears a little bit, because I would love for you to speak a little bit before we're done here about what we have coming up, because we have some amazing, exciting events coming up. And this is honestly, okay, I'm going to ask her these questions, I promise. But this is where we get to really shine. Like, one of the big ways that people are able to like shift and change and like notice patterns that are maybe no longer serving them, or notice things that they want to bring more of into their life, is through immersive experiences. And we have a couple of those coming up. And these rooms that we get people in and that we get to be a part of they're so exciting, they're so magnetic, there's so much inspiration that like flies around the room. And I would love for you to talk more about what's coming up.
I definitely will. And then I will ask you about your experience at them, because you've supported at many of these events. Yeah. And I would love to know your perspective on it as well. Yeah. There are 2 events coming up. And the first one we've never done before, but I've been dreaming about it for a very long time. And it's called Elevate Your Business. And essentially, a lot of the women that I work with are business owners, and some of them are not within the wellness space, but many of them are. They're yoga teachers, they're massage therapists, they're studio owners, they're clinic owners, they're wellness practitioners in some capacity. And it can be a lot to wear all of the hats. And I know, because I've done it for many, many years, wearing the hats of an entrepreneur, a mom, somebody who's trying to keep their health in order. And I think one of the things that I've seen before that really inspired this is, you'll see those memes that are like, woke up at 2:00 in the morning and all of these things started running through my head. Oh, that's just the life of an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Quit my 9 to 5 to work at 24/7.
Right. And I just feel like taking that meme and slapping it into next week. I'm like,
that is how a lot, I know, speaking from experience, that is how I felt when I started my own business. So absolutely. I get where those memes are coming from.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so too, and I guess what the reason that to me it's like, is because what if it didn't have to be that way? What if we could start to bring a relationship of work that we, as people who are supporting other people in wellness or in becoming well, in healing, in health, and in all those good things, and even if you don't have a wellness business, to have a business and to be able to wear some different hats where you don't feel depleted, but you feel energized, uplifted, supported, empowered, like you're part of something and you have a community of people who are also doing the same thing. Just rewriting the script on what it means to be a woman entrepreneur today. That to me is an inspiring idea. And it is feasible and possible, and it can be very abundant. And so that's what inspired me to create this. So creating spaces where women come together, where they don't feel intimidated walking into the room, but they feel like they're walking into a room of other people who just truly want to see them win and truly want to uplift them. I think we need that sisterhood in women more than ever. And I see so many women saying, that's what I want. Forget the rest of it. I don't want the other stuff. I don't want the competition. I don't want to have to prove myself to other women. I want to just step into the room and know that these women got my back.
And be a part of it all.
Be a part of it all. So we do embodiment exercises. We do business vision work so that we can really get clear on where it is we're going. We reignite the spark that made you want to start that business to begin with and help you build some healthy boundaries into the time freedom aspect, relationships, get your health into a good order. So there's some really cool, fun things that we do at those events, and they are beyond inspiring. So
for the business one,
yes.
I do want to say something that stuck out for me. This might not be like a huge part of it, but I know this is likely going to be included from what you've told me, and I'm excited about it, is when and how to build your team, yes. Which I feel like you are like so amazing at. So I'm excited to hear how that unfolds in the event.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of us doing it alone, right?
Absolutely. So, yeah. And this is another thing, is at these events we get to mastermind and actually connect with other business owners. We have a networking hour that we call Elevated Connections, where you get to munch on some yummy food and walk around and meet other people who are probably going to be great collaborators or supports in your business, maybe even lifelong friends. I've seen that happen. So this is going to be really exciting. And that one is April 11th and 12th. And we hold these events at the Holiday Inn and Suites in Spruce Grove. So yeah, that's pretty exciting coming up. The other event is, you do not have to be a business owner, even though many business owners do come, but it is specifically for women who are looking to gain more clarity in their life. And just as a little side note, I would have classified myself 5 years ago as somebody who was very self-driven, if I had an idea, I would run with it. Like, I didn't need anybody to light a fire under me. I had this inner fire. I was like, I can do this. I'm going to do this. This is what I want. And at the same time, I knew that I wanted to tap more of my potential. I knew that there was more for me out there, and that I needed to put some support around myself in order to have some kind of accountability, so that I showed up the way I said I was going to. Because there were too many days where I realized that I had a choice. I could show up and do the hard thing, or do the thing that was going to grow my business, or do the health related activity that I knew was going to be beneficial for me health-wise. Or I could have these other little voices in my head, these old habits, these old patterns talking away at me, eroding my resolve.
Hit the snooze button.
Oh my God. I don't even like that button. I'm just like, get out of my phone. But all of that. So so the reason I'm saying this is because I personally would classify myself as somebody who is very much a self-starter, like wasn't lost by any stretch, although there are people who come who really are looking for more of that clarity, more of that support. And what I found by putting myself in rooms like this is that it was the inspiration that I needed to be able to go and do the things. And so definitely Elevate is for you if you're looking to gain more clarity. You want a reset button. You just want to hit that reset button so that you can like step back, get clear on what's important to you and why in your life. Maybe the trajectory that you're heading down, you're like, what's at the end of this tunnel? I don't know. And I just want to pause and get some real perspective on my life so that I'm the creator of my life. My life isn't living me and I wake up and say, how did it even get to this point? Yeah. But that we can actually empower ourselves to say, I know where I'm going. I know what's important to me. I know where I want to be. And I'm loving where I am. And here I go. And now I've got the clarity, the support, the fire relit inside, and it feels amazing. And so that's what Elevate is all about. And that's May 2nd and 3rd, again, at the Holiday Inn and Suites in Spruce Grove. So 2 very cool immersive experiences. And just as you were saying, there is something so transformational about going into spaces like that, being surrounded by people doing the same kind of work with the same kind of intention. Nothing beats that. Like nothing compares to that. It's amazing. Yeah. So can't wait. So, but for you, what was your experience being in rooms like that?
So for me, I've been in many rooms like that before, in different ways. And what I find overwhelmingly is that there is something profound that emerges from a group consciousness. So when we are all together, we are immersing ourselves into whatever's being brought forward, whether that be personal development, whether that be like deepening into spirituality, whether that be growing a business. There is this amplification that I feel happens when you are in an experience like what we're going to be offering, what we've done in the past. that doesn't exist in one-on-one. It just doesn't exist, because what happens is, even if you are somebody who typically is more introverted or quiet, or you're just feeling that way on that particular day, you don't necessarily have to participate to the fullest that you possibly can while you're there to get a lot of benefit out of being there, because the people that do show up and speak up, you will find a bit of your story in what they bring forward. And so no matter where you are in life, no matter how you feel when it comes to, speaking in public or, anything like that, you're going to get something out of it. Like, it's available to everybody who shows up. And I feel like there is like a divine guidance system that brings the people that come together, like the specific people that are drawn to that specific place at that specific time to come do this specific type of work. There is like an alchemy that can take place from this experience. And so I can't speak highly enough about it, because I've seen it time and time again, how it has the power to shift, to transform, to illuminate, and if nothing else, at least it gives you a really good glimpse at what's possible for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
I love that so much. And what you're talking about with the group consciousness and the collective energy, it's palpable. Like that in and of itself alone is transformational to be a part of. Yeah. I love that so much.
Yes, me too. I can't wait. So if you're able to join us,
we would love to see you there.
Yeah, it would be great. Oh, it's almost like that was planned.
Look at that. Mm-hmm. Nerd alert.
I know. So good. Yeah, I suppose. Okay, so in closing, let's wrap this up with a pretty bow.
You're beautiful.
If there was one gift, just one, that you could give to every human on earth right now, what would it be?
The one gift would be for people to realize their inherent worthiness and to love themselves. Because everything comes out of that. When you love yourself, you love other people. You see their gifts, you see their power, you start to care about nature, you start to care about the people that you don't even know. You start to forgive yourself from the things that you hold yourself back from, the things that you might be judging yourself on. You release any limitations. You start to get curious about what's possible for you. You start to empower other people. You stop having reservations around what you can and cannot do, and you start to try. Even if you fail, you stop caring if you fail, because you realize it's just growth and learning and wisdom all wrapped up together. When you realize your inherent worthiness, you stop shortchanging yourself, you stop denying yourself, you free yourself of so much unnecessary suffering. It is the greatest gift. And yeah, that's what I would give, if I could, to every single human being on this planet.
So if you would indulge me,
yes.
Can we take a moment? And I'm going to invite everybody listening or watching along to join us, because I feel like this is very powerful. And I feel like we can do more than just wish this on somebody or on humanity. If we took a moment and got comfortable. So if you're sitting, get comfortable sitting, maybe ground through the feet and the body. If you're driving or otherwise distracted, by all means, come back to this. But find some comfort in the way that you're physically being right now. And then take a moment, maybe connecting with the heart space. Tapping into this inherent worthiness within yourself. Knowing that it's there, even if you can't fully feel it yet, knowing it's there. And feeling it emerge. Some of you may even feel it burst forward fully and unencumbered. And then allowing this sensation, this feeling, this knowing to travel from you and allowing this wish, this desire, this gift to meet every person that it comes in contact with, traveling across the world as we know it, knowing that there is always enough being poured in, more than enough, an abundance being poured in of worthiness, of universal abundance flowing through. There is no shortage. In fact, the more people that you touch with this, the more that it grows. Allowing this to ripple around the entire world, all sentient beings, crossing all space and time, all space and time. Allowing it to even reach into the parts of the universe that we have not uncovered yet, and maybe never will. Allowing this inner worthiness, this innate illumination of being, this inner spark, this divine presence to be infused with this energy, to be lit up, to be remembered. And everyone that it touches, in yourself. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and start to dial that energy back, knowing that it touched the people that it was meant to touch, who are open to it and willing to receive it. And that you're able to dial that energy back in as close to you as you want it to come. Allowing that spark to stay strong and steady within you of this worthiness, this sense of being more than enough and exactly where you're meant to be right now in your life. Big breath in and let it go. You can open your eyes, and that's the gift that you chose to give.
That was so beautiful. And I don't think that we mentioned this at the beginning. This is my longtime friend, Shantelle Darshana, who she's not only a yoga teacher at the studio or a support for the elevation method and the work that we do. She's the client care specialist. So she interacts with all the clients and makes sure that everybody's staying connected. But she also is a medium. She has her own work that she does. She's astrologically gifted in terms of the way that she is able to channel what's going on, the new moons, the full moons, the different energies that are working around. She's my very gifted and wonderful friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that beautiful visualization with everyone. That was lovely.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Really lovely.
My pleasure.
Just take things and channel them through. It's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me ask the questions. Not very often do I get to do this unless it's about work or I just want to pick your brain or your heart. So I love the opportunity to be able to step in and shift it a little bit so that, you get to experience being on the other side and people get an opportunity to experience you from maybe a different perspective. So
absolutely. And thanks for doing that. And one day I'll flip it around back on you.
Sounds good.
We'll
I'm
have
all
you back.
for it.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Okay. Bye, guys.